And if you're the kind of person you can talk to, and you do these things to try to make your folks get past the fear of, oh, that's the CIO, you'll always be the CIO, but you've got to find a way to get people comfortable enough to talk to the CIO about things that are important. You got to build the trust. It's all these things. But if you've done all those things, then you've got to give a path and a vehicle for that conversation. And so that's one thing I do. And when you get to the bottom of the list, get you a new updated list, because new people have hired and fired and quit and started at the top again. That's one of the things I do. One of the things I do that I've been doing for the last several companies, especially if you're remote, a daily stand-up. Not a daily stand-up in the traditional dev sense, but rather an obligation for each employee on the team on one Slack channel to tell me the stand-up things. What did you do? What did you accomplish yesterday? What are you working on today? And here's the key, what are your blockers? And then as the leader, make time to go look at that list, that daily stand-up. Don't obligate Jeremy to do it every single day and then not look at it. There's nothing more disrespectful than busy work. So, but if it's there and you see a blocker, Jeremy, if you see a blocker, you stop whatever you're doing and you engage on that blocker right away, right now. How can I help?
Yeah.
Not to tear them down, not to make them feel a way about the blocker, but because there's a blocker and I might be able to help you, I'm going to help you. Right. You again, get a reputation for, if I see that there's a blocker, I'm going to stop my day and help with the blocker. These are just two examples. There's lots of other things we can do. Recognitions, Jeremy, recognitions is a key part of staying connected to the team members. It's also key on eliminating pride in your career and building trust. But having a recognition program that doesn't wait for the quarterly all hands meetings, but rather is right now, when I heard about it, I reach out to Jeremy, thank him for what he's doing, get him to give me a little bit of insight on what led him to do that. That's how you stay connected. Because in our field, I am not going to put myself in a position to pretend like the lead developer. I don't want that. The development team doesn't want that, and Clearway Health doesn't want that. But I don't have to actually do the coding to be in the weeds with the team. Here's one more. I'm going long, but that's why I had my book.
No, it's great.
Another thing, if you have a change, it's the enemy of availability in production, but it still has to be done. You have to have change windows, maintenance windows. Show up at those change. There's a war bridge going on that's at 2:00 in the morning, and you've got the same 17 folks who are always on your war bridge to do those maintenance events. Show up, not because you've got a role, but because you're there, you're listening, you're hearing. Maybe you can give some insight. Maybe you can just remove blockers as they show up. These are things that you can't do if you're home sleeping when your team is doing that thing. That's the example of sweeping up the room, the shop floor. That in the example you gave. Yeah. I'm not going to be logging into the servers. I'm not going to be logging into but I can show up. And I can offer support in the way that I can offer support, by the way, that nobody else can. Those are some ways you stay connected.
Yeah. No, I like it a lot. I mean, one thing you said earlier is nothing, I think, engenders more trust and loyalty than if someone's having a problem, that you make their problem your priority, like you just talked about, right? Like they know they don't want the CIO or the CEO, et cetera, so far removed from some of the more not rudimentary things, but a lot of block and tackling to come in and mess with it, because you're not going to be able to do it as well as them. It's like, what are you doing? You're literally causing hassle. But what I do know is that you have the authority and the power to remove a roadblock, like you talked about. And that's a really important thing, in that you are willing to get your hands dirty when you need to, and you're talking to them. One thing that I used to do when I worked for much bigger organizations was with my team, every day, and this was a pain in the butt, I would go to lunch with a couple people. Yep. It was a pain. Like I had to work extra hours, and we didn't talk about work. So it was people that were 2 or 3 levels below me, not in value or importance, just on the org chart. Yep. And I would just pick a couple of them. We'd just go to lunch. It was on me, and but the things that I learned, and we would talk about sports and unfortunately politics or whatever. We'd just talk. But what they would do is their guard would come down and they would give the best ideas. Yeah. And so I would have, I reported the CEO and he'd say, man, you have a lot of good ideas. I'm like, I don't. I listen. I don't actually. I'm parallel processing as many brains as possible. We have really smart people everywhere,
Yeah.
but they're not going to speak up in a boardroom or in my office. But when you get them out of the building and we're out at Chili's, I hate Chili's, but sorry, like a good local Mexican dive or something like that, or a Thai place, they open up
Yeah,
the walls.
that's right.
My dad used to do that with me. Like I didn't get along with my dad, and it wasn't him. It was more me when I was a teenager. I was this testosterone fueled rage monster.
Yep.
And wouldn't talk to my dad. And I didn't know until later in my life when I got to college that the reason, and he wasn't a good athlete, and I played all the sports in high school, but he'd go throw football with me or play basketball. It's because he knew my guard would come down.
Yeah, come on. That's right.
Then I would talk.
That's right.
And so I tried to use that in my career, and I'm not great at it, but I try to be.